Music to the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Pun Kelly get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of jest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor pulls the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity where they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steve Pun Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts flow.
Hello and welcome to a weekend edition of the Pun Show. My long COVID was really bad the last few days, and I wasn't able to do a show at all, and so I just wanted to pop on and just do a shortened show today. Thanks for everybody that's joining. Hope you're having a wonderful day. If you want to tell me who you want to win today's football games or tomorrow's football games, go ahead. But as you know, this isn't really a football contest, but since I used to live in Chicago and now live near Houston, both the games I'm paying more attention to are tomorrow. So, but I think today, maybe this year, I'm going to cheer for the Bills a little bit. I think I'd like to see Josh Allen get a ring. It's his turn. I know some pretty cool Bills fans that I think would be happy. Anyway, that's not what I'm popping on to talk about today. The thing I really want to talk about, and has been just simmering inside me, and I think to bring it up as a way of introducing this, I posted the video of the baby that was gassed. And stopped breathing for a few minutes, 6-month-old baby that was gassed by ICE agents. And then you had people jumping on saying, well, what was the circumstances? What did the parents do to put the baby in that situation? As though there are some acceptable answer to that to them. Like to them, they see a baby getting gassed, and there is a situation whereby they would look at that and say, I'm okay with gassing a baby in that situation. And so I just need to understand if this is one of those situations or not. So let me make this perfectly clear. There is no circumstance other than actually endangering the life of the baby where the parents are endangering the life of the baby, and it's the only way to save the baby's life, that you fire a tear gas canister into a van that has a baby in it. Like, what's wrong with you? Why is it your first inclination is not, why did the ICE agent put them in that situation? Not why did they think it was okay to fire a tear gas canister or whatever it was into a van with an infant? Why is it not your first reaction to question that and not whether or not the parents were wrong? As it turned out, it looks like the parents lived at the house and they were trying to leave because of the situation outside getting out of hand. They were trying to protect the baby. But that shouldn't even matter. They shouldn't have to vindicate themselves to not have their infant gassed. And I just look at things over and over again. A guy gets, wrestled to the ground and shot in the eye with a rubber bullet or whatever it was. Now he's blind for life. Or you have people dragging a kid, beating the crap out of him, and then dumping him off into another parking lot. In every single situation, all these things that are just flat out wrong, you have to find a way to morally justify it. A woman gets shot in the face 3 times. 3 times. And your first reflex is to blame the woman. What's wrong with you? And it's not just that kind of stuff. It's not just the protests in Brooklyn. It's the everythingness of it. Donald Trump invades Venezuela, conquers it, steals oil. We've got the first $500 billion payment from Argentina Oil or whatever it is. And you're okay with that. And you, all I hear is, oh, this is what we voted for. Okay, what did you vote for? Because I don't recall a single advertisement saying that we're going to go to war with Argentina and steal their oil. I don't remember that as a campaign promise. I don't remember we're going to gas U.S. citizens. As a campaign promise. I don't recall a campaign promise where Donald Trump was going to strip our First Amendment rights, our Third Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, our Fifth Amendment rights, our 10th Amendment rights, our 11th Amendment rights. I've got a whole bunch of rights that he has just systematically dismantled one by one, including the Third Amendment. You didn't even know that the Third Amendment was there for a reason anymore. Julian says, oh my God, for real, he is definitely destroying our country. He's destroying it. And people that allegedly love it are sitting there cheering it on. And this is why I want to ask you, is this what you really voted for? Is it? Is it what you actually voted for? Because I don't recall campaign promises for all these things. Like I recall campaign promises about getting rid of illegal immigrants. But he's not doing that. And I got to wondering, like he would always say, I just mean the worst of the worst. So I started wondering, what is the worst of the worst? What does that mean? And hang on a second here. So what is the worst of the worst? And so I was wondering why are actual convicted felons who were illegal immigrants, why are they just walking around on the streets? Because that to me, that is a problem. Like we should not have that happening. So I started researching and I found out what happens is that when an illegal immigrant gets convicted of a crime, they still have to serve their sentence there in that, state prison or county prison or whatever it is. And then when their time served is up, the ICE is notified. Now, you may not be aware of this, but states, prisons, and local prisons can't deport people. That's a federal function. It has to be a federal it has to be through ICE or DHS. Minnesota can't deport illegals. And so what they do is when these felons finish their sentences, they notify ICE and they notify DHS. DHS is supposed to show up and pick them up and then detain them and deport them. But what happens is they don't show up and do that. And it's actually been a systemic problem for decades. You have people going back 30 years that were never deported, even after they finished their felony conviction, serving their time. So this is not like a Biden thing or a Democrat thing. This is a systemic thing. And there's about 1.5 million people that fit this bill right now across the country. And what's really shocking is that with all the new funding and all the new priority on this, they're not actually going after these guys. In Minnesota, they have about 2,500 of the people that fit this, which, by the way, out of 1.5 million, 2,500 is not a lot. And only 202 of those, or I'm sorry, 212 of those are actually the worst of the worst who were detained, who were these felons who were then released and who are now walking the streets. There's another 200 some that are currently in prison doing their sentences, which are being deported. But there's over 2,000 that either aren't being deported or being released. There's all kinds of people being arrested and not even charged with anything. So nobody's against, by the way, nobody is against the worst of the worst being deported. What we are against is people having the crap beaten out of them because they have an accent, or a baby getting gassed because he happened to be in the wrong van at the wrong time. And you should be against that too. But when you have people like Lioness of Gala here sitting there screaming you voted for this, how did you actually vote for this? Did you vote for the invasion of Venezuela? Because how can you vote for that when it was never even a campaign promise? How can you vote for that? How can you vote for something that was never promised? But what happened is you voted for Trump. And so now you feel this need to justify evil because you voted for evil. And so you keep doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on evil. Can you show me where Donald Trump promised that he was willing to break up NATO and go to war with Europe over Greenland? Because I don't recall that campaign commercial. How did you vote for promises that were never made? Where did you vote for babies to be gassed? Where did you vote for mothers to be shot in the face? I don't recall those as campaign promises. How did you vote for things that were never promised? Where did you vote for the removal of our constitutional rights? Because I don't recall that. I don't recall Donald Trump running commercials saying that if he gets to win, he's going to leverage the FCC against any people that say negative things about him and like derail the whole, use the FCC to, manipulate mergers and manipulate who's running what news networks. Dwarven here says, did you vote for the murder of 16-year-old Americans in a country we weren't at war with when you... Okay, no. I did not vote for that. Do you think that no 16-year-old Americans have been murdered under Trump? What does that have to do with anything? See, this is the exact kind of evil I am talking about, Dwarf. You're defending evil with lies and false equivalences and bullcrap. What's wrong with your soul, Dwarven? What is wrong with you as a human being? A baby got gassed and you're sitting there talking about Obunga? What does that even mean? What is Obunga? Is that some sort of play on the fact that he's black? You're trying to make some sort of, like Obunga, like he's black and Obunga? See, it's like bunga, 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 like a tribal thing. Are you a racist, Dwarven? Are you justifying gassing a black baby because Obama was black? Where is your actual defense? Where is your reasonable defense of this? A baby was gassed. A man was shot in the eye with a pepper bullet. And he's blind now. You've got thousands, literally thousands of civilians, American citizens, being beaten, being gassed, being detained, having their civil rights blocked. You've got Donald Trump threatening to arrest the governor of Minnesota because the governor of Minnesota had the audacity to criticize him and his abuse of Minnesota citizens? Who can stand up for you? Who has rights to speak? Is it only Donald Trump and you? And you get aggravated when we call you fascist? This is how fascists behave. This is literal fascism released on the streets of Minnesota, and you are defending it, and then you are decrying. Oh, why are you calling us fascists? Because you are fascists. That's why. If it walks like a fascist and talks like a fascist and gasses babies like a fascist, it's a fracking fascist. Private detention centers are just a way for the ultra-rich to get tax dollars. Yes. And let's not even, good point. These private detention centers, aka concentration camps, everything Trump is doing is just sending hundreds of billions of dollars to the elite. Yeah, you might spend more money for bacon because there's nobody to slaughter the pigs anymore. But sure, blame the immigrants. Don't blame Trump. Don't blame God for this crap, David. Don't blame God for this. You don't have any right to claim God when you're sitting there defending gassing an infant. Follow the dollar, people. Remember this saying. God hates Trump. What is it? Esau I loved. No, is it? Esau I loved. Enoch I hated. Donald Trump can hate. And I cannot see God sitting there just applauding as infants get gassed and people get shot in the face while they're held down. I don't think that God approves of people just beating the crap out of 17-year-old kids and dumping them off in Walmart parking lots. I don't think God approves of shooting a woman in the face 3 times. Because if you watch that video, you know the most important part of that video nobody ever talks about is where she's waving them on and says, "I'm just pulling out." All right, that's something that Fred Trump should have been better at. But all she was trying to do is just pull out into the traffic and complete a right-hand turn. She wasn't sitting there obstructing justice and being a domestic terrorist and all that crap. She said, "I'm just pulling out." And the next thing she said is, "I'm not mad at you, bro. You're just doing your job." But sure, tell me more. What did she do that was a terrorist activity? Terrorism is a word that used to mean something. Now it just means you disagree with Trump. It means that you can get, it's a pretext. It's a pretext of blowing up people for being in boats on the ocean. It's a pretext for shooting people in the face for trying to just drop their kids off at school and go home. You have to be an idiot if you think that she was trying to kill that cop. And if you want to come on and sit there and just brag about how stupid you are, go and tell me more about that. Let me show you something about this.
As is in front of her car window, she tells him,
"That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you."
Which further shows that she was being calm and polite and trying to de-escalate the situation so she could leave. As far as I understand, this is her wife, which you could argue is being slightly more confrontational, but 1, she has every right to be, and 2, she's not behind the wheel, so her behavior is not at issue at all. Moments before the shooting, you can see on Ross's camera.
I'm going to get to it'll get to it in a second. The whole video that shows him allegedly getting hit.
That she's turning the steering wheel right. You can also see the wheels of the car turning right from the other angle as Ross steps out of the path of the vehicle. Okay, third angle. This was posted by ABC5, and ICE defenders say this shows Ross being hit. This is what is professionally referred to as potato quality footage. It's a blob of pixels, so it's really hard to see what's happening. But there are three really important things we can get from this footage. One, the moment before the car purportedly hits him, if you synchronize the footage with the other angle, you can see that he was already outside of the path of the car. It only looks like he was hit because this is from the same angle as a Hollywood film would shoot an action scene to make it look like a punch connects with an actor's face. Two,
That part right there, that optical illusion of that video that they used to make it, prove that he hit her. That video does not actually show her hitting him
despite the
any more than a fake Hollywood movie punch. And when you see the video, hang on a
potato
second.
quality, as far as I can tell, these are his legs. I'm gonna highlight them in white so you can see
And that matches up with all the other
what they're
videos.
doing. You can see him shifting sideways as the car starts to move forward. Importantly, he stays on both feet for the entire incident, which contradicts claims saying that the footage shows one
Kind of hard to have your leg run over while you're standing
of
up.
his legs being swept up by the hood of the car. There's a 3D recreation of the incident by an NGO called Index Investigation based on the angle from the back. And based on the footage, they depict him leaning on the side of the hood as he's shooting in the side window, which is exactly what we can see in the potato video. And three, this is the most important one. The snippet that is used from the potato video that is circulating most widely online as a case closed he was hit was tampered with. It doesn't have original sound. It's a less than 1 second clip playing on a loop, and it's been sped up to make it look like the car is going faster than
Sped up to make it look like the car is going faster than
it
it is.
was. This is part of a deliberate disinformation campaign to change the narrative. So
And so this is a deliberate disinformation campaign to change the narrative. If you believe that narrative, you are just bragging about your own ineptness.
it's not your fault if you were misled by a clip that was tampered with. Finally, back to the officer.
Oh, whoops. So he says he's not going to blame you. I'm going to blame you. Something is wrong with your souls, MAGA. You're sitting there justifying evil. And you're claiming God. God does not approve of evil. I'm so tired of you besmirching God. Don't be near ICE agents. You have people that weren't near ICE agents, you idiot. That baby that was gassed, the family was literally trying to leave the ICE agents. It happened outside of his home. So how is he supposed to not be near ICE agents? The ICE agents came to him. The woman that was shot, Renee Good, was just trying to finish turning around. The ICE agents came to her. So you have people saying, well, she should have never left her house. Well, that makes you a fascist, defending a fascist, defending tyranny. If you're not allowed to leave your home if you disagree with Trump or die, that's fascism. Just ask Anne Frank about that. FAFO. Right. Exactly. Thank you for proving my point. People that people that disagree with you deserve to die. And you think that's like a winning point? You think that makes me say, oh, you're not a fascist now? You just think that people that don't agree with you should die. And their babies should die. See, yes, you deserve to die. That's what you're telling people that don't agree with you. Since people are getting killed because of lies, shouldn't they be charged for manslaughter? They should be. I think if I were the next candidate for the president of the United States, the very first thing I would do is on day one, I would not just appoint a special prosecutor. I would appoint a whole team of special prosecutors to go after every single person that committed crimes in the Trump administration and bring them to the full extent and justice of the law. No more of this Richard Nixon stuff. No more of this Trump 1 stuff. If we had taken care of Richard Nixon properly, if he had died in jail, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. Part of the reason we have to deal with this is that we just want to say that if you used to be president, well, you know, you've got all these complications with Secret Service agents and everything, so we can't really send them to jail. No, send them to jail. You don't get to keep your Secret Service for life just because you're a felon. Okay. First of all, we don't know it's $9 billion. There's no proof of that. That's just a quip from one person that said a thing. Secondly, that doesn't mean that it's okay to go out and kill people. And thirdly, it has nothing at all to do with what we're talking about. The fraud, this is one of those, it's like a Gish Gallop of policy. A Gish Gallop of policy. It's just one fallacy and lie stacked on another fallacy and lie. So what happened is when Joe Biden was, well, okay, first of all, when Donald Trump was president, the fraud started in 2020. Then when Joe Biden was president, the fraud was prosecuted. And everybody that was convicted of it is currently in jail. And the number one ringleader of that was a woman who was a white woman. But there were all kinds of people, about 70 or so, that were of Somali descent. Of those people that were of Somali descent, the number of illegal immigrants involved is 0. There is not one single illegal immigrant that was implicated or convicted of any fraud, but they were Somali. And so Donald Trump, because he hates Omar, went ahead and made it all about Somalis. And so then he started screaming about Somali people. Then you had Nick Shirley go in and go to all these closed daycare centers that were just not open during, because it wasn't business hours, and make all these fake allegations that have since been debunked. Like every single charge made by Nick Shirley in those things are either debunked or were already prosecuted. There's nothing new that came out of the Nick Shirley video that's actually accurate. And nothing new in the second one either that he just released the other day. None of that has anything to do with the frauds that have already been convicted. None of that has to do with illegal immigrants. But Donald Trump has sent all of these ICE agents who have nothing to do with investigating fraud up to Minnesota to investigate this fraud and get to the heart of it, even though it has nothing to do with illegal immigration. But it's all kind of lumped together. And so you've got idiots like G.I.Sixit or whatever, idiots like this, they just conflate it all together because your thinking skills are that of a brain-damaged hamster. So it's like you've either got to be for all of this fraud, which, by the way, Donald Trump is making money hand over fist off of the Venezuela invasion, which cost us more than $9 billion and which he is making more than $9 billion on. But you're okay when Donald Trump does fraud. If the officials in Minnesota would you know what? What if, and hear me out now, ICE officers cooperated with the officials in Minnesota? What if they respected state rights? What if they respected our constitutional rights? You're sitting there arguing, what if Minnesota just went along with fascism? Everything would be fine. No, everything would not be fine. Everything would just be more fascist. We have a right as citizens to resist fascism. We have a right to protest. And that's what it is. You can't just go and beat the crap out of protesters, say, well, they'd gotten away, they FA'd and FO'd. The person was not obstructing federal agents. That's not true. That is a lie. The person was trying to finish a turn. She said, I'm just trying to pull out. I am so sick of that lie. And that lie doesn't justify what happened either. It's all part of this gish gallop of nonsense and tyranny. A, the federal she said, I'm just pulling out. B, ICE agents don't have any license to enforce traffic laws. C, he approached her, she didn't approach him. D, he was walking around the car, filming the car. He got her license plate. And so if he had just let her leave, then he could have gone to her house and had her arrested later for whatever imaginary crimes he was making up. D, or E, I think we're on E now, right? He walked in front of the car against Department of Homeland Security policy. That was literally designed and written and changed because ICE officers were walking in front of cars and using that as a pretext to kill people with. So it wasn't just like some sort of coincidence. And it happened while Ross was a member of ICE. But yeah, let's just gloss over all the facts and just get to the imaginary details. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She had her dog in the back seat. She had stuffies in the glove box. She was just driving home after she dropped her kid off at school, and she was just straight up murdered. And you have to like sit there and protect every fascist thing that happens. See, another person just defending murder because our guy did it. What's wrong with your soul there, Cube? You have your own 2 feet and you're standing in front of a car. Why not just move out of the damned way? Trump denies. Oh, that's another thing. And now it's just gone beyond everything. He wants to cut off federal funding for everybody that pays federal taxes in states that didn't vote for him. How is that not tyranny? It's just insane. What point do MAGA start saying, no, I did not vote for this? Because I don't recall campaign promises that said, I'm going to cut off funding for every state that doesn't vote for me. I don't recall that being a constitutional right. I don't recall the Constitution saying that the executive branch has the power to determine which states do and don't receive funding. Did you vote for wars to never be ended? I don't recall that on a ballot, but I do know that one thing is for sure. Donald Trump starting them. Donald Trump invaded Venezuela. Donald Trump's talking about invading Greenland. What happened to no new wars? I remember MAGA sitting there talking about no new wars as though Joe Biden had gotten us into any. Joe Biden did not get us into any wars. He ended the war that we were in. And you criticized him for that. Children weren't at protests. They were at home. The baby was at home. Can babies go home? Can families have their babies at home? What's wrong with you? And don't you dare act like you had some right to portray Bob Marley. Bob Marley would disagree with you. Oh, look, a dick. This is America. Yes, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a place where we have constitutional rights. They disobeyed. Yes, that doesn't sound at all fascist. If you disobey, you deserve to die. Yeah, that's not something Nazis said ever. I don't understand why you keep asking this question. Trump paid Stormy Daniel more than he paid Colorado citizens. Yeah, the ones that Obama... What did Obama do? What does this have to do with Obama? Why do you keep bringing up Obama? What ones that Obama made? All right, let me clarify another thing for you, because apparently some of you don't have brains that function at all, much less properly. Okay, Obama deported people, yes, according to the law. What Obama didn't do is tear gas babies. Obama deported people according to the law. Nobody is complaining that people are being deported. What we are complaining about is you're shooting women in the face for trying to turn around or trying to like just merge into traffic. You're shooting people in the eye with rubber pellets. You're taking away our First Amendment rights, our Third Amendment rights, our Fourth Amendment rights, our Fifth Amendment rights, our Sixth Amendment rights, our Eighth Amendment rights, our Ninth Amendment rights, our 10th Amendment rights, and our 11th Amendment rights. What is bothering us is that you are sitting there stripping away our constitutional rights. It's always a soft white liberal. Well, come on, Mr. Scrawl, ye of all that great courage, who has a letter for your profile pic and a name, a word for a name. You have enough courage to cower. So don't sit there and call me a soft white liberal. You probably pounded that out furiously in your little trailer on your Vista computer that you inherited from your grandmother while you sat there and dipped squirrel in ranch dressing. Again, I've already been through that. Yes, I'm angry because I am rational. I am angry because you are not. You're the one sitting there trying to rationalize gassing babies. And yeah, that pisses me off. It pisses me off that a baby got gassed by somebody that was getting paid for with my tax dollars. And if it doesn't piss you off, then you are not a person with a functioning soul. What people? What people shouldn't be there, Cube? Huh? American citizens are American citizens. You know who shouldn't be here? I shouldn't be sitting there stirring up trouble in Minnesota. Because they're not getting paid, dipshit. Minnesota, no, they shouldn't. Federal law enforcement should cooperate with Minnesota officials. We have a federal government for a reason. How about the thousands getting hassled who do belong here? Again, and like, I cannot emphasize this enough. And it seems to be something lost on the I don't know what happened. Did you like overdose? Not you, Kitty, but you know, like the maggots, like, did you like just overdose on meth too many times? Did your brain just completely rot out? What is wrong with you? Why is it just shouting the word illegals to some people means whatever evil Donald Trump does is okay? This is why I when people refer to actual people as illegals, and I call that dehumanizing, this is why I have an issue with it. Because then when babies get gassed, you can just retreat to your dehumanizing rhetoric. It's not a real baby because the baby happened to be in a car that was at a protest event that was protesting police brutality and getting illegals. Why does the context matter, Dwarf? Why? Okay, first of all, the context was they were trying to leave the house. And they just wanted to leave. What is the context? What is the need to gas that particular van? You're talking about why it's okay, and like under what circumstances to you, Dwarven, is it okay to gas a baby so that it stops breathing for a few minutes? Why are you so just shallow-souled and Trump devoted that you can't even acknowledge that gassing an infant is wrong under any circumstances? What situation is it okay? What if it were your baby? And you say, well, I wouldn't bring it there. Well, they didn't bring it there, dude. ICE brought it there. They aren't at a violent protest. One, they were at their house, and two, the protest wasn't violent until ICE made it that way. ICE is being violent. That's the problem. Are you capable through your granite-brained thinking skills to absorb that simple fact? Why does the president of Liberia speak English? Trump has done. I used to live in Liberia, by the way, for 2 years. And you know what? This was one day when I lived in Liberia. It was in 1983 and 1984 that I lived there. And I like to say I was there between coups. There was a guy named Samuel Kenyon Doe who threw a coup in 2001. Then there was a coup in like 2085 or 2086. I forget what year. But he was the head of state at the time. I won't use the word president because he wasn't elected. And one day I was coming home from school. They had basically everybody got around by cab there. And, you could basically take a cab anywhere in the city for like 25 cents. And if you wanted a cab yourself, you could just pay 75 cents. But most people would just pay the quarter, and then the cab would pick other people up on the way and whatever. So one day I paid my 25 cents, and I was the only one in the cab. And then they stopped and picked up a couple of military people, Liberian soldiers that had their guns. And they got in the car, and they kind of picked up I wasn't a local for obvious reasons. And they said, so you're American? I said, yes, I'm American. And so then they talked about, you think you're better than we are, don't you? And I was like, didn't really know what to say. And then they're like, well, can you admit that Liberia is better than America? And they're sitting there playing with their guns while they're saying this. So I did what any intelligent person would do. And I said, yes, Liberia is better than America. Because you tend to go along with what sociopaths with guns are doing. And that was my story of what it's like to live under a tyranny. And now, this is what you're saying life should be like in Minnesota. Not you, Saracen, but the MAGAs in the crowd. I just find it, and I've been thinking about this, an ironic coincidence that when you say FAFO and you say that you love your country, like, where does that stop and start for you? Okay, yeah, no, I don't think they're violent, dude. How many ICE agents have been hurt? How many ICE agents have been wounded? How many ICE agents have been killed? And now, how many American citizens have been blinded? How many American citizens have had the crap beaten out of them and dropped off in a Walmart parking lot? How many disabled women have been yanked out of their car and had the crap beaten out of them? How many ICE agents have been shot in the face 3 times? No, so they're not violent. Snowballs don't count. They're not riots, they're protests. You don't just get to call protests riots, then use the riots that are actually protests as a right to shoot people in the face, as a reason to. They even said that there was a riot going on when Renee Good was shot, when there's not even anybody on the damn street. So just saying the word riots doesn't make it violent. You know what makes it violent? Shooting somebody in the face. Republicans love Satan. Liberal tears. Yes. Steal another election. Yeah. Text Sheriff Bob there. Yeah, tell your aunt mom I said hi. You're crazy. It's apostrophe R-E. Why aren't these people where they shouldn't have been, especially with the baby? Because they were out in front of their own house. Again, Maria. Oh, look, a fake Hispanic person. Google Dusty Ray Jones. Okay, let's Google Dusty Ray Jones. Okay. Oh, Dusty with an I. Oh, no. I just Googled Dusty Ray Jones and got nothing. Is it Dusty with a Y? Search only. Oh, something to do with Jeffrey Epstein. You release. Okay, yeah, we're not talking about Epstein right now, but no, it's not the rioters making it violent, dude. Just stop saying stupid crap. Every time you say stupid crap, you're just bragging that you're a stupid person. I'm much smarter than you, Burmer, just not as emotional. No, because if you were as smart as me, you would be emotional about this. You're just a sociopath. And I am smarter than you. I am much smarter than you. I can tell because I see that face on your dumb face. How many? Yeah. Oh, look. Oh, a really insightful, like just incredibly sharp and incisive comment. How many genders, Kelly? Yes, because if I believe transgender people exist, that means that a baby didn't get gassed in a van while her parents were trying to leave because ICE agents were assaulting people out in your front lawn. No. What makes it violent is shooting people in the face. Yeah, brainwashing works. Listen to the people defending gassing infants. Trump recently fell asleep. It would be more news if he stayed awake for one. Then he woke up and yes, I remember that. He like literally bragged about his cognitive tests and acing them, and while he couldn't remember them, and he also couldn't remember where he got an MRI. And look, another really, really intelligent. Gee, you are just Like you got these all like in a little note there, Tayshara, all your little standard stupid MAGA talking points. Get your booster shot to help your TDS. Yeah. Do you have like bazooka rappers that have these like really, really telling punchbacks? Oh my goodness. You're about as smart as a stick of gum. You need to shave? Well, no, I don't. I have a beard. Wish you stayed in Liberia. Oh, yeah. You moved back, didn't you? Like, are you guys all just like, I used to have a cat. He died. Care Bear. He was orange. Allegedly, he shared a brain cell. He didn't get his turn very often. He was so dumb. One time I have like my bedroom has 2 doors. And one time he was like, one of the doors was wide open and the other door was shut. And he was sitting there meowing in front of the one door while the other door was wide open. And he was meowing to be let out of the other door. That's how dumb he was. He was smarter than like all of the MAGAs put together. Illegal immigrants are being, are they? How many ICE, how many ICE agents have actually been injured in all of the things put together, all of the protests and everything put together? You know how many ICE agents have been actually injured on the job? One. And he was injured because of something an ICE agent did. Do you anything about the connection to Liberia and the USA? Do I know anything about? Yeah, Liberia was started under, I want to say it was started under Monroe, but it was like where they sent the freed American slaves by the American Colonization Society. What was interesting, what a lot of people don't know about this, is that for like decades, their primary source of income was indentured labor. It's like they were sitting there, they spent their whole lives on, plantations, and they looked at the plantation owners, and that was the economic system they knew. And so that's what they developed when they got to Liberia. So they like exported it. I think it was the Suez Canal or something. Anyway, it's really, really interesting. Republicans are stupid. Bill Clinton left office with a $3 billion surplus. You only scream, and except I've actually answered every single question. And all people like you can do, Jacob, is just scream insults. Like typical liberal bleepity bleep bleep is not an actual resort to ICE agents are gassing babies in vans. And you say, well, why did they have them there? Well, they were in their front yard. Like, if you can't have your baby at your own house and not have them get gassed by ICE agents, maybe then you should start asking ICE agents why they're gassing babies in their own front yard. Oh, using a baby as a human shield is as low as you. Nobody's using the baby as a human shield. Gassing an ICE baby and then accusing the family of using it as a homely shield, that is even lower. You know what? Gassing babies is as low as you can go. Defending gassing babies, that's the next rung up. Do you know why the people of Liberia? Yes. Because, anyway, well, that's up to you. Are they really? Like, why do you have to use a disability as a slur? Do you think that like that makes you sound smarter or right? You're right. The baby shouldn't be in that situation. ICE should have never put the baby in that situation. ICE put the baby in that situation when ICE fired the tear gas into the car. ICE did that. That's why I'm asking you, what is your point that Donald Trump can't cross? At what point do you say enough is enough? When they start gassing babies and you start blaming the family for the baby being gassed, what is your moral compass? Is your moral compass just Donald Trump can do whatever he wants and anybody that resists him is evil? MAGA bootlickers are proud to lick them. Yeah, they are goose-stepping, boot-licking, fascist apologists. Everything they do and say is just in support of fascism. And then they're like, oh yeah, what is fascism? As though they know. He moved back from Liberia, says the guy who can't spell Liberia. My dad was a diplomat there. Every Republican president history gives us inflation, recession, and depression. We keep having to clean up your messes, and then you blame us for the mess that you created. You know what a K-shaped economy is, or a K-shaped recovery? It's like when you have like the K. I don't know if this is going to look backwards or not, but if you think of a K, a letter K, then here, let's do this. All right, so a K. There we go. Just a standard K, like that. And on a K, you have like the upper tail or the part going up and the part going down. And with a K-shaped economy, what you have is where part of the population is doing really well, and part of the population is not doing very well. But the part of the population that is doing well does enough to compensate for the part that's not doing well, that it looks like overall the economy is doing better than it is. And one of the just most insane numbers to me is that currently when you look at GDP, that it's composed of four things: consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. And the net exports is a little bit, fluffy right now because of the whole tariff thing, has exports actually going down, our imports actually going down because of the tariffs. And so then that makes net exports look bigger than it is, but it's just net. It's like if you're making less money because you're selling less things, and then because you're selling less things, then the amount of money you're spending on those things is down too. That doesn't mean that you're doing better. It means you're doing worse. But the net exports is down because we're not exporting, which actually means we're not doing as well, because we're just not exporting things, which means we're not manufacturing the things that are getting exported. But the other thing that's scary is that right now, 10% of the economy accounts for about 50% of consumption. That means like the top 10% of earners are spending 50% of all the money that's being spent. And so that's artificially making it look like consumption is doing well, when it's actually not. 90% of the economy, or 90% of the population, is spending less money. That means they have less money to spend. Or else they're just not spending it because they're concerned about the economy. So there's like, that's a big red flag. And it's only going to get worse. And tariffs are not even right now the biggest issue. The biggest issue right now ties back to the mass deportations. And that's because right now, the biggest thing, when you look at inflation, again, it's like sometimes people look at, the macro numbers and not the micro numbers, and it can be deceptive. But the big thing that you need to have, everybody needs to have, whether you're rich or poor, is food. And the thing that is going up the fastest is food. And it's going up the fastest, and it's going up the way it is because of mass deportations. So much of our food economy depends on undocumented migrants. And you can sit there and, hem and haw and complain and whine all you want about that. And you can, but we should have a conversation about how to handle that. But right now you have food rotting on the ground because it couldn't be harvested. And that's causing the food prices in the markets to go up because that means there's less food available. You have beef spoiling in the slaughterhouses because it can't be processed, because we've emptied the slaughterhouses of workers. These are real problems. These are not just, what CNN told me to say. I don't even watch CNN. This is actual reality. And just sitting there and name calling and slurs and using the R word and yelling about illegals doesn't change any of that. At what point do you care enough about anything other than Trump to acknowledge that there are things that have nothing to do with TDS, your made up mental disorder? Okay, real Americans. No, I'm a real American. You don't get to just define yourself as real America. I'm sorry, I served in the military. My father served in the military. My grandfather served in the military. My great-grandfather served in the military. My great-great-grandfather served in the military. His father served in the military. I have had ancestors serving in the military going all the way back to the Revolution. And you're going to sit there and say, I'm not a real American? And I served in the military. What makes you more American than me? Other than you voted for a big, bloated, fecally incontinent moron, and I didn't. Because they weren't acting violently, though. If they, how many people in 2020, how many people altogether since Trump became president again? Do you know how many were actually charged and convicted with violent crimes against ICE? One. So if all of these terrorists are being violent and everything, you know how many have been charged and not convicted? 2. You know how many have been arrested and then released and not charged? Thousands. So maybe the whole violent thing is a false pretext to get morons like you to sit there and get on board with taking away actual civil rights, taking away actual constitutional rights to protest. What to you? I saw them bonehead on CNN or whatever. It was on a clip from Twitter. Some bonehead sitting there acting like, oh, our rights to protest begin and end with Substack articles or something. Like, you have a right to protest as long as the government doesn't have to hear it or something. That was probably a rhetorical question I asked that. I don't remember what it was. It's 2:50. Yeah, that was like 20 minutes ago. Sorry, dude. But thank you for answering. Trump didn't understand why that man spoke English because he didn't even bother to research people and invited. Yeah, and he didn't even, he has people he can pay to do that research. But he doesn't care enough. Trump gave everybody COVID-19. Over 8,000 people died every day from it. Joe Biden stopped. Yeah, I mean, Like what Joe Biden did as president, what he actually did versus this caricature stupidization of what the Trump administration and the MAGA and Fox News and everything told you. Joe Biden was a really damn good president. He inherited a crappy state of affairs from Donald Trump. Under Donald Trump in 2020, we had the worst pandemic in over 100 years. We had the worst economy since the Great Depression, and we had the most civil unrest since the 60s. That trifecta is what Donald Trump inherited, and Donald Trump that Joe Biden inherited from Donald Trump, and Joe Biden ended all of that. If you go back and you look at what was projected by the Congressional Budget Office in 2020, after the whole, economy crashed and everything, and unemployment went way up, and like in the fall of 2020, just months before Joe Biden was elected or took office, they projected that if things went well, unemployment would be back down to 6% when Joe Biden left office in 2024. Joe Biden had it down to 4% by that summer. But sure, these people want to act like Joe Biden economy was really terrible or something. Joe Biden had the most successful economy in the world after COVID. No, they weren't. That because ICE makes those claims, how many of those people were prosecuted, Brian? Stop taking Kristi Noem's word for things. She's a liar. 60 ICE agents weren't attacked by vehicles last year. There were times they said that they were attacked by vehicles. There was a woman they shot 6 times. 5 or 6. And then they said that they rammed her with our vehicle. Then came out, there was actual video of them ramming her with their vehicle. So yeah, I'm sorry if I'm not going to just take your word for it or Kristi Noem's word for it. Show me how many were prosecuted, or just take your little comment somewhere else. Down with ICE. Man, I have my freezer. Sometimes the ice thing gets jammed up, and I have to take a hairdryer to it and thaw out the ice maker to make my ice maker work again. I wish somebody would take a hairdryer to ice. We don't need ice. We got through over 200 years of our history. We got all the way up to the year 2001 without ice. We don't need ice. We need to get rid of ice. The next person who runs for president should have a defroster as their symbol. How many Americans have been unalived by illegals? How many Americans have been unalived by legals? You think that nobody would get murdered if it weren't for illegals? How many American lives have been saved by undocumented people? Fake-ass federal officers. One guy was hit by a car. No, what happened is one guy was so stupid, he jammed his arm into a car and tried to stop it with the power of his being. And he got dragged. You are an idiot. Well, thank you. Still smarter than you. Not even close enough. Really not a challenge to live your life freely without breaking laws. Cope harder. Whatever that means. Always with the cope harder. Always just cope harder. As though that is a retort or something. Like, oh boy, you got me there with your, whoa, did you sling your MAGA hat around on the tip of your finger after you said that? Like you had just scored a point or something? Protesters are not above no, nobody's above the law, including ICE agents who murder people. January 6th was more than a riot. January 6th was a planned riot. January 6th was an assault on the United States government. January 6th was the spear of an insurrection. The tip of the spear of the insurrection. It wasn't like just, oh, it just happened while Donald Trump was president, watching it on TV and rewinding it to see his favorite parts. If you protest ICE, you support. I'm sorry. You know who supports pedophiles and rapists? Donald Trump. That's who supports pedophiles and rapists. He's the one that's sitting there protecting them. He's the one. There was a law literally passed that the only ones who can enforce are Donald Trump and Pam Bondi. And guess what? It's not being enforced. The only ones who can follow it. Nobody else alive. That they even had a law just passed for those two people, and they have released 1% of the Epstein files. 1%. Over 30 days after they were supposed to have them released. Well, that's one of the reasons. Anyway. Oh, you know what wouldn't count? Anything that would happen if they weren't there. ICE agents, you know what? Minnesota, why aren't ICE agents doing this in Texas? Minnesota doesn't even have a lot of illegal immigrants. This has nothing to do with illegal immigrants. Nothing whatsoever to do with illegal immigrants. And if you want to arrest illegal immigrants, arrest illegal immigrants. But people aren't protesting, arresting illegal immigrants and deporting illegal immigrants. People are protesting the abuse of our civil liberties and our civil rights and our constitutional rights. Do not do bleep and nothing would have happened. Yes, absolutely. That's the problem. That's the problem with the MAGA way of thinking. The MAGA way of thinking is if you just lick boots like we do, then there wouldn't be any problems. Well, you go ahead and lick boots. I'm going to say that I will not lick boots. And if you have a problem with me not licking boots, then you can just, live with that. She was not stalking law enforcement, moron. She didn't make it violent when she put the vehicle in drive while somebody was in front of her vehicle. She actually didn't. She did not make it violent when she put the vehicle in drive when somebody was in front of it. Full stop. I know that you like that oversimplification of things and you think that it scores points or something, but he wasn't in front of it when he fired 3 bullets into her face. He was on the side of the car for every single one of them. That's right. These asses swore every day to protect the Constitution, then throw it in the trash. When that Nazi guy, I can't remember who it was, but there was some Nazi that got punched in the face back in 2017 or something. And I remember all these right-wing apologists, all of these conservative MAGA types sitting there going, well, I don't have to agree with what they say to defend their right to say it. And not a damn one of them is standing up now. A bunch of cowards that really just cared more about defending Nazis than defending speech. Where are you now? Where are you defending your right, the rights of people who disagree with you, the ones who you said you would defend? Where are you now? You're cowards. You're either cowards or liars or Nazis or all three. As though she had impeded him in any way. Yeah, well, at least I don't have like a name like 78W72-M2H and an empty profile picture. I bet you look as dumb as your name is. January. JCB, what about Trump saying there was a white genocide in South Africa? Yeah, that's another one. There was no white genocide in South Africa. Never was. There is a problem with assaults on farms, and most of the farms happen to be white owned. But most of the victims, if you look at it, most of the victims are not white people. As much as they want to tell you that, most of the victims are the black people who work for the white farmers. There's no, and it's not like white people all over the place. It's just the ones in the farms. There's no white genocide. See, see. So now it's like we're just like throwing in the gay jokes and the racist jokes, and we're acting like this all. Oh, look, tell your black husband I said what's up. Yeah, you're not an asshole. You know what? I saw an ice crime. White liberal, the worst country this has to offer. No, the worst this country has to offer. That's what you voted for. Maybe you should think about the quantum. There are not now and never have been, well, at least not since, like the late 1800s, open borders. Open borders is the thing that Donald Trump made up. It is a completely made up fabrication of MAGA. There have not been open borders. When you went to the border and you crossed the border, when Biden was there was something there called border patrol. When you sit there and you try to use these massive numbers of encounters to prove that there were open borders, actually that proves that all the people that were crossing over the border were being encountered by border patrol, which proves that the borders weren't open. The only thing that you have to prove that there were open borders is the made-up gotaways number that came up by the partisan, dumb as Matt Gaetz's forehead, witch hunt investigation by the Republican Party that just made up numbers and you believed them. Like you believe everything that Donald Trump and the MAGA whatever cabal says. He captured a oh, you mean the one that Biden prosecuted and he pardoned? What would you mean the one that they brought over, or do you mean the one they brought over here and in the court filing, in the actual subpoena, couldn't even come up with a single charge of him directly being even a narco trafficker, much less a terrorist? You mean, again, you people are so dumb that you believe Donald Trump when Donald Trump speaks. And you're going to call me a dumbass. Did you read? Tell me how you can prove to me that he is a narco terrorist, or just go sit on your own thumb. This show has it all. Thank you, Rabbit. Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, Democrat. Yeah. I don't know what we're talking about, the civil. Lefties only like black people if they agree with. I don't know what that even is supposed to mean. This tier, the tier he was used to contain the unrest protesting. Okay, was the baby protesting? Why gas that car? Oh, Takam and Jacob. Yeah, see. Oh, tampon. You used the word tampon. You must have a point. Okay, skipping down to get caught up. When immigrants freely walk across they don't freely walk across the border unchecked or uninvested. That didn't happen. That is what I am saying. That you believe that was happening only shows that you are stupid. You are so stupid. Like, I could come up with, like, I could say, you're so stupid. You have to wear a hat to remind yourself of who you voted for. I could say, you are so stupid that you voted for a guy that bankrupted casinos because he's a business genius. I could say, you're so stupid that you sit there and you think this guy that takes aspirin in just like unreal amounts because he doesn't want thick blood pumping through his heart, you think that that man is a genius. I could say all that, but I'm just going to say you're so stupid that you actually believe that immigrants were freely walking across the border unchecked under Joe Biden. That's how stupid you are. You actually believe this complete myth spun from full cloth out of Donald Trump's dementia-ridden brain, and you just believe that. Where is your proof this happened, buddy? Democrats sent their fathers and sons to die in a war to keep black. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I have like what, Civil War? Do you think that 1859 is relevant to the discussion I am having right now? Why do the people that make this argument now insist on flying the flag that they flew? Malcolm X. I can guarantee you have never read anything about Malcolm X or anything he has written. You just like to say stupid things. Do you think that Malcolm X would be for Donald Trump? Do you think he would be on the MAGA bandwagon? Go away. Shout out to Renee. Oh, look, murder joke. Oh, you're so funny. Sleepy Trump in a nutcase who truly enjoys brainwashing. They are so stupid. They are so stupid. One of my friends had his dad deported. He was a good man. Why did they do this? It's so, and there's so many people that have been deported illegally. They've deported American citizens. And you know, this is another thing that I like, on the one hand, I can see why we say it, right? They're doing it to American citizens too. And it's like, that is horrible. But it's also like, why do you need to, like, it's not okay to shoot a woman in the face 3 times, period. The fact she was an American citizen shouldn't make it extra disconcerting. It's like, they don't even want a king. They want an emperor. They want him to take over the world. How do you MAGA guys justify Greenland? Like, how does that not concern you? Like, some things I would think this should be disconcerting to you. Like, you talked about, like, when I say no new wars, or, you know, like when I say, is this what you voted for? And you're like, yeah. But I remember you guys sitting there going, no new wars, no new wars. And you were sitting there talking about all these wars that Joe Biden had gotten us into in Gaza and Ukraine, as though we were at war with Israel or Gaza or Ukraine. Joe Biden didn't get us into any wars. Donald Trump conquered a country without even telling Congress about it. He says that we're running that country now. He's talking about how we're like just stealing their oil. And you're okay with all of that. The people that voted for no new wars because Joe Biden had gotten us into these wars he didn't get us into. Now you're okay with new wars. Now you're okay with just even talking about, oh, well, we need Greenland for our national defense. You don't know anything. And yet I still know more than you. Everything you have said is stupider than your little hat. Maduro was working. No, okay. Why wasn't that in the charging documents? Okay, the Los Celos cartel isn't even a real cartel, which they admitted in court. I don't know what he said. I don't know what you're referring to there. What the he is or what the it is that he signed. The baby was not used as a human shield. The baby, okay, let me, since I know that you're reasonable, the baby was in the van. The family was trying to leave. And then the van got gassed. And even if the baby was used as a human shield, let's just say it was, how does that make it okay to gas the baby? He was in the van. How are they using the baby as a human shield in the van? Like you, I know you have them, LD. I know that you have thinking skills because I've seen you think before. How were they using the baby as a human shield, number one? And number two, if they were, why does that make it okay to gas the baby? What would have happened? What terrible thing would have happened if the ICE agent had not gassed the baby? What would have happened worse than gassing a baby and it's stopping breathing for several minutes, nearly dying? What was worth risking the life of a baby over? Somebody getting away? Trump didn't want Trump, and like, let's really actually have an honest discussion about immigration right now. This has nothing to do with illegal immigration. It has nothing to do with border security. Donald Trump did not shut down the border. What he did is he shut down the right to seek asylum. He just shut down asylum, which, by the way, is an American law and an international law, but also an American law. By law, if you step foot on American soil and ask for asylum, you get it. So his answer to that is no, you're not allowed to step foot on American soil. We have the right to seek asylum for a reason, because people should not be held captive in a country that they could get killed in just because of certain beliefs or whatever. And he has functionally ended that right, which has existed since World War II and is a right in a direct response to what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust, and are actually returning Jews to Germany during World War II, which is exactly what Trump would do now. If psychotic people are if psychotic people are bringing their children to protest, don't they? Okay, first of all, they didn't. We've been through that. But secondly, why does that make it okay to gas them? Under what pretext is that okay to gas them? Oh, well, they shouldn't have had them there. They shouldn't have had the baby there. So why gas the baby? Why does that make it okay to gas the baby? They have one AI photo of drugs floating next to a boat, which was from a bust years ago. Maggots believe all the lies. And yeah, everything is always comes down to, like, here's the thing about the like the boats and whether they're drug boats or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they were drug boats. It doesn't matter if there were drug boats on them or drugs on them. It's still illegal. It's still illegal to like bomb a drug boat. Oh, well, they were terrorists. It's still illegal. Like, you just calling somebody a terrorist, even if they were terrorists, to bomb them is still illegal. The only legal way that you could bomb them is if they were a direct and imminent threat. And that imminent threat means that there had to be some inertia. There had to be like actual physical immediate threat. Like, if somebody is pointing a loaded gun at your head, they are a threat. If somebody is holding a bag of cocaine, they are not a threat. So even if there was cocaine on those boats, what were they going to do? Throw it all the way to Florida? There was no imminent. The reason that we have laws like this is to protect us from the people that are breaking these laws and killing people. I feel sorry for you, libtard. You guys like tampon poop. I feel sorry for anybody that thinks that was an intelligent response to anything. It means y'all are racist towards blacks unless they're full-on woke liberals. What about blacks that are full-on woke? You think that white liberals made up the term woke? You think that's a white liberal term? How about you read a book? No, they did not under Joe Biden. Saying the border was open shows how ignorant you are. The border was never open. It never was. I'm a Republican and a racist. I don't know what There's literally a video. Oh, there's literally a video of thousands of immigrants that just flooded across. No, there's not. There's not literally a video of thousands of immigrants just flooded across the border every year. No, there's not. There's not a video, literally or metaphorically, of that. That is just not true. I think you might be referring to, there is a video of some people crossing the border illegally that had like some farmer or something that was trying to get that part of the, but that is not 20 million immigrants that have the border open. Deport all white communists. What's a communist? And why deport communists? What if there is an actual communist that is an American citizen born here just like you? Why not deport all white fascists? You believe whatever tampon, you think that just using the word tampon Tim makes your argument credible. Why do you have to bring my wife into this? No, yes. Oh, videos show them crossing. Some of them probably aren't. Trump did have a tampon on his ear. He probably got it from Walls. $20 million. 20 million. Oh, look at my made up number. You are the stupidest dumbass I have ever heard. Yeah. You haven't heard Trump speak? Somebody is for sure stupid. Check the mirror to get a look. Says a person with the courage to show his face. Stop talking shit about. Okay. Soon as I start talking poop about something I have no bleeping idea about, I will stop doing it. But right now, the problem is that you are the one that has no idea. I am speaking facts to you. You are too obdurate to learn them, and you are probably too stupid to know what the word obdurate means. You guy. Stop lying, my dude. No, they didn't always exist. Open borders. What does open borders mean? Open borders existed from until about, depending on how you look at them, late 19th century. That's when we had our first real immigration laws. If you're talking about open borders against like an invasion or something, we've had the military to prevent, like an actual literal invasion. not just having, illegal immigrants, but for like the first almost 150 years of our existence, there was no like border patrol because we didn't have immigration laws. People could just come over here. You have insurance openly hunted illegal crossings publicly in the 90s. The cartel 100 innocent. Okay, that's not open borders. How do you? I know that you might have trouble thinking. So I just like if you're admitting to illegal crossings, like if you're talking about illegal crossings as proof of open borders, how can you break laws that do not exist? If you're talking about illegal crossings, then you're saying that there is no way to illegally cross. How can you have illegal crossings when there is no way to illegally cross? You either have illegal crossings or you have open borders. You cannot have illegal crossings and open borders at the same time. Because if you have open borders, there is no way to cross illegally. Because there's no law against crossing. Oh, liberals, women purposely using children as body shields came out in leaked messages. Oh, leaked messages. Wow. Wow, leaked messages. Whatever that means. Oh, you guys are really dumb when you believe that stuff. But those are lies. I would love to debate you. Okay, do you want to come on and debate me? I'm happy to have you come on and debate me, Steve, but it's got to be according to certain rules. One, you have to be able to state whatever you say has to be true and has to be provable. Number one, so it has to be factual. Two, whatever you say and argue has to be logical. So like if you say that, the car is red and then you say, therefore the earth is flat, that's not a logical follow on. The facts you state have to support the opinion you espouse. That's number two. Number three, I'll have you on the screen right here and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And as long as you follow 1 and 2, and also don't swear, because this is a monetized program and I can't have, people cussing and swearing on it. But as long as you follow those rules, you can come on and debate me. And I'm happy to debate you. And, we can always fact check, use an objective fact check to qualify what you say. But yeah, come on and debate me. I have no problems debating people. That's why I read comments that I disagree with. But I've tried to get people to come on and actually meet these basic conditions before. All I'm asking is that you be honest and don't swear. But of all the MAGA trolls that I've ever had on this show yelling and screaming, none of them have ever had the courage to come on the show and actually debate me. So let me know if you're willing to meet those, and I will have you on the show. Immigrants were not freely crossing under Biden. People were coming over here and seeking asylum. Asylum is a law. All Joe Biden did was enforce the law. All you poor ass bigots thinking Trump cares about you or your family. You people are broke. You have nothing, cheering on millionaires and billionaires who wouldn't piss on you. They don't care about you. Donald Trump does not care about you. If you showed up at Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump would throw you out. The ICE agent wasn't bleeding. The ICE agent was running around, and no, he didn't even get hit. That's been verified by all kinds of videos and modelings and stuff like that. He was never hit. He leaned into the hood of the car. That sound that you hear on his video, that's not him getting hit by the car. That's him banging the phone that he's using to record on the car as he leans in and shoots her. Don't debate, don't call names, because it shows how stupid you are, MAGA. See, go back to your mom's basement, idiot. My mom is dead. They did not come through the legal ports of entry, you moron. Doesn't matter according to the asylum laws. The asylum law literally says regardless of legal status or point of entry. But you've never read the law. I'm the moron, but I've read the law. Did all those people cross that legal point? Doesn't matter. The actual asylum law here. Okay. I'm just going to read to you the actual law. Okay. So right here, this is where I'm reading. Any alien who is physically present in the United States or who arrives in the United States, whether or not at a designated port of arrival, and including an alien who is brought to the United States after having been interdicted in international or United States water, irrespective of such alien status, may apply for asylum in accordance with this section or where applicable. Okay? So that should just end it, right? The law, the actual law, which I know that you guys do not care what the actual law says. All that you care about is what Donald Trump says. Whether or not it is a port of entry, you can declare asylum and request asylum if you did not go through a port of entry. Now, Joe Biden illegally changed that to say that you have to do it through a port of entry. And yes, a whole bunch of people did do it through a port of entry. Now Donald Trump won't even allow that much. And he says that's closing the borders. Oh, yeah. Donald, only one person can have to. If Joe Biden has dementia, when she doesn't, that means Donald Trump can't have dementia. That's your, like, one of them has to have dementia, and it has to be Biden. Where's your proof? Where is your proof that the thing that I just completely made up didn't happen? Where is your proof that Donald Trump isn't a hot dog? Mexicans are Indians. The Indians were. I'm just checking to see if I'm not seeing anything from the one guy that said he wanted to come on and debate me. I'm just checking to make sure that he never came back. No. Yes, you should let some illegals live in your house, because that's what it is. It's either go out and kill people for trying to pull out, or have illegals live in my house. Just look at Poland and say immigrants is good. Oh, yes, somebody that probably couldn't even find Warsaw on a map is ready to lecture me on immigration being bad because of Poland. Man, you guys just use your ignorance and then drape it on top of more ignorance, and then you use that to make an ignorant point and think that your ignorance is scoring some kind of thing. Shut up about Poland. You know what the entire United States of America exists because of immigration, you My wife says I can't be mean. Well, let's say that there are not. Well, let's say let's just say that her not being here has not been but traumatic to absolutely anybody. I don't know what you're talking about. Who committed suicide? Oh, are you talking about Democrats with the girls shaving their head, earrings all over the face? Well, that was a cogent and articulate response. Democrats with the girls shaving their head, earrings all over their face, purple hair, green hair, orange hair. Ha ha ha, tear. I mean, who can argue with logic like that? I mean, it's like, why don't you just throw a couple of words like pancake and whatever in there? Jonathan Ross is a murderer. He is. These people use asylum as their excuse to not. Okay, how do you know that? You know, if only there were some way, some policy, some sort of law, some sort of system to distinguish between people who are just using asylum to get here and not be deported. If only there was like a set of laws, and like even like we could have these people and we'd call them asylum officers, and these asylum officers would sit down with the people that are seeking asylum and determine whether or not they had a fear that was credible. We could call it a credible fear. And if we found they had a credible fear, we could grant them asylum. And if we found they didn't have a credible fear, we would return them to their country of origin. If only we could. Oh, wait. That's what the actual law is. Stupid. Yes, because anybody that disagrees with you is a pedophile, except for Donald Trump. Like, this is why does this have to, like, everything has to be R word, or you just start randomly ranting about, you know, trans people, or it's a pedo. Kitty has a bingo card. I don't know how many times we've been through the whole bingo card. It's like we got a blackout like 25 times already on this. The comments are so stupid. Asylum is just a tool for them to get into. No, it's not, Robert. And you've never read the laws and you don't know what you're talking about. You just decide that any brown person that wants to come here is an illegal and doesn't have a right to breathe if Donald Trump says so. Yeah, all you have to do is be fat, dumb, and full of gravy, and you can get a nice job. I already showed you the code. Here's the link to it. Right here. Go ahead, look it up. The geniuses cheering the thin blue line of whining of ice are cheering Palantir Orwellian police state. Stop the immigration welfare. That's how you deal with the immigration issue. ICE isn't the way. There is a whole lot where I say sometimes we need to actually have conversations about things. Why do we have immigration issues? And one of the things that we have, one of the big drivers of asylum seekers from South America is the fact that the United States keeps overthrowing countries in South America. And what do? We go and we invade and conquer Venezuela. All right, we've had, I'm sorry, I don't know if I might have said Venezuela the first time instead of South America. In Central and South America, we have now, I think it's 46 times we have overthrown countries since 1906. One of the big, I mean, a lot of the worst despots and dictators that have been there, that have been the big drivers of asylum, have been people we've installed because they weren't communists. And by communist, I mean they weren't in American capitalist interests. A lot of them weren't even communists. They were just left of fascists. Oh, look at a stupid, like, what does that even mean? Animals that are toxic in nature develop vibrant colors as a warning. Libs have adapted. What a dumb thing to say. That is like dumb on so many levels. That, like, honestly, dude, that is just a dumb comment. That's not like clever. That's so dumb that I feel sorry for you. Like, what is, like, that is just dumb. Go ahead and justify an illegal killing. What if she didn't stop all the way at a stop sign, then took off? Did he deserve death? He's not dead. Are you saying, did she deserve? Yeah, it's anything like anything that ICE does, they will find a way to justify. They're on here justifying gassing a baby with, like, oh, well, they were using the child as a shield. The child was in a car. And in what circumstances how are they using it as a shield? Nobody can say how they were using it as a shield, or how, if they were using it as a shield, that justifies gassing the baby. And the Turner Diaries is the perfect book for your child. I don't even know what the Turner Diaries is. They're illegal. They are criminals. I don't know what that means. I know that you don't know how to use the right there. I know that you probably get confused doing color by numbers because all you see is white. Where's my proof of what? Yes, expedited removal is within 2 years. You can be removed from the country without an immigration judge. I don't know what that has to do with whatever you're talking about. Expedited removal doesn't apply if you claim asylum and prove that you have a credible fear of being returned in your initial screening. You have 2 screenings. One, within the first 3 days, you have a screening where, they determine whether or not there's anything at all there. Then if you have a reasonable fear, according to them, then you actually get an appointment with an asylum officer, which there's a backlog of, and which some people might say, gee, maybe we need more asylum officers. It would have been a lot cheaper to just double the amount of asylum officers than to do what we're doing with ICE. We have you in this country. Dude, you're the one named Bruno Peralt B5R who voted for Donald Trump. Asylums are for those that are running from threatening. If only there were laws that determine these things and policies that determine these things. Again, nobody's saying anybody should just be able to come over here, say, I want asylum, and get asylum. What I am saying is that people that come over here that have a genuine need for asylum should be able to claim it. What Donald Trump is saying is, no, Nobody can do that anymore. Well, except for South Africans, white South Africans at that. Democrats are not crazy. They don't accept MAGA as crazy and are meddling with their lives. Sorry, I skipped over this one. What a mental case. It's actually said that these people believe in their Marxist talking. None of nothing you said has any bearing on anything anybody here has to say. It's just like MAGA Tourette's. You just scream words like communist, trans, R word. Rest in peace. Any semblance of democracy or justice in the United States. Renee Gibb lived up to her name. She was a true American. R.I.P. I think you have totally lost your freaking mind. And yet, you can't, this is every single MAGA is just insults. And, nobody can actually come up with an actual constructed argument about why or how I am wrong. Where's your proof that I said so and the communist news? I don't even know what communist news means or what I'm supposed to prove. We saw Biden on live TV. I saw Trump take nap after nap after nap. Okay, nobody voted. But open borders was never on the ballot. There was no pro-open borders position. I don't recall Donald Trump running on shutting down the fundamental human right of asylum. Well, if this is where we're going now, that you can just, not you, Rabbit, but, the way they keep saying these stupid things. Oh, we had open borders. And then it's like, I have to prove we didn't. Where did we get rid of the Department of Homeland Security? Where did we get rid of ICE under Biden? Where did we just stop passing laws where people could just come over here? Where did we make policy open borders policy? Because I don't recall any of that happening. I just remember a lot of outrage and stupidity coming from people being apprehended at the border and returned. And then that being called open borders because people don't understand what words mean. Or trans people exist. That's because I blocked who? I didn't block the guy that said about debates. He's absolutely still allowed to comment. See, there he is right there. Andros, you retard. See, that's the guy right there. The guy you said I blocked. And all he can do is just use the R word as a slur. As soon as he found out that he had to be honest in coming on and debate with me, he cowered away. MAGA is completely running the country. I can't believe that I drive on the street with you brainless, mindless, bleeping maggots. You are fools. You are so bleeping brainwashed. Oh, well, this guy knows somebody with dementia, therefore he can diagnose Joe Biden from, whatever. And that just totally proves that Donald Trump is still a genius that can. Why is Donald Trump having to take dementia tests all the time if he doesn't have dementia? That's not what happened. Continue to listen to the left. What is the left news anyway? What is the left news? Not right news? Any news that doesn't fit in your little, what does it have to do with what news you listen to? What really actually happened should just be what the news is. Italy is for Italians. I used to live there too. Tip of the heel to boot, in a little town called San Vito. go back to, it's always kind of come back. Like what, like, the third country asylum rule, a significant factor is a rule making asylum ineligible for those entering the visa. Yeah, that's not actually a real thing, and it's misunderstood. The first safe country thing is not a thing, because Mexico is not a safe country for people that are going through Mexico. The people that are going through Mexico are actually like have a better than 50% chance of being a victim of violent crime. I have not heard a Polish joke since I left Germany, so this is really deep. Do you know where this is kind of funny. Do you know where I don't think Polish jokes are a thing anymore, but the reason that Polish jokes became a thing was because of the World War II, when Germany invaded Poland. They did not have like tanks and stuff yet. They were still using their cavalry. So they tried to defend the country with what they had, which was their cavalry. So they were defending tanks on horseback. And, it took only like, I think it was less than 3 days to conquer Poland. But that's where the Polish joke came from. He was bleeding. He was on his period. I don't know, like, I know what a global map looks like, stupid old mans. Won't even acknowledge why Poland is safe. I have no idea what you're talking about or what the relevance is. Like, just screaming Poland over and over again doesn't mean you have a winning argument. When you pay less taxes, and most people do, it's easy for you to want to let anybody in, everyone, because you're not. That doesn't even make sense. This like, why is it that all the people that think they live, you're. I'm not going to be mean. MAGA want to talk about about the law so much, and then I will say this much: blue states pay more in taxes than red states. This idea that Democrats don't pay taxes and Republicans pay all the taxes is just dumb. Everything has to be a dumb talking point with MAGAs. You displayed your ignorance when you read I displayed my ignorance by actually reading the asylum law. Son, do you even know what ignorance means? It means lack of knowledge. You're saying I showed my lack of knowledge by displaying actual knowledge. MAGA want to talk about the law so much and then prove over and over they don't know the first bleeping thing about the law, or probably anything else. I don't know. Maybe they know how to barbecue. My great grandparents didn't enter the U.S. illegally, but the way your great grandparents came in was no different than the way that people that are coming in nowadays. What changed is what's legally. No, what changed is not how they came in. It's just what the law is. If based on today's laws, your great grandparents probably would not be able to come in. You exist. You would not exist if the laws were the same. The settlers did not find it. The imperialists conquered it. There were people living here before. As many, I think, I was just reading, it could have been about 10 to 15 million population of North America before we conquered it and killed a whole bunch of people and genocided like an entire continent. Yeah, that one was just too stupid. Saying Mexicans are illegals reveals the ignorance of whoever said it. He should crack open a book one of these days. It would, like, can you imagine if MAGAs weren't afraid of libraries? Like, that would really solve a lot of problems. Actually, Poland is doing quite well, not only in security, but financially. I'd love to see what the allies are doing about Greenland. It does not exist because of illegal immigration. It is great because people came here to assimilate, not continue their own culture. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but do you know that almost all of American culture, I just want to clarify this, everything about American culture that you call American is actually other people's culture being brought into America. All right, so you just think about anything. Think about our food. And you go down and you look at the list of DoorDash, and you've got Chinese food, and you've got Korean food, and you've got, hot dogs, which came from Germany, and hamburgers, which came from Germany, and apple pie, which came from the Netherlands. And you've got, Italian food, which I know this might be hard for you, but came from Italy. So our food, almost all of our food is imported. Is from immigration. So you say, well, what about our music? Most of our music is an evolution, not from classical music, but from African music, from slaves who were, forced to come over here. But all the rock and roll and all the country and the jazz and all of that are all evolved from African music. What about movies? Most of our movies industry evolved from Eastern European Jews that came over here. And what about our TVs, our, like sitcoms and whatnot? All of that evolved from vaudeville, which was brought here by the Irish. And the Irish were no, the original colonists were no fans of the Irish. Don't think that the Irish weren't considered dirty immigrants at one time. The problem is when you say something like that is you really don't know how steeped in ignorance your argument is. Okay, yeah, we don't know what you're talking about either, because I read books and you don't. I know how y'all think asylum equals yelling oligarchs. No, it doesn't. I know how you don't know what the asylum laws are, and you just think that nobody, like, this is not a question about whether everyone or nobody should get asylum. It should be about whether or not some people should be able to get asylum. I think people that deserve asylum should be able to get it, and that they should be able to go through the legal process that Congress has already mandated and has been on the books for years. I think that the person who executes the laws of the United States should execute the laws of the United States. And asylum is one of those laws. And what happens? You come over here, you request asylum. You've got, like, within 3 days, you have to have a hearing to show a credible fear. And then that's like a temporary hearing. That one's like not the final hearing. And then after that, you can either get deported or you can get a hearing date with an actual asylum officer. Then that gets scheduled, and then you go and you have that hearing with the actual asylum officer, and you go through everything, and then they also look at your papers, and they look at, whether or not what you're saying is a valid thing. And then if it is valid, you get asylum. If it's not valid, you get deported. So nobody's saying that, asylum is an ollie oxen free. But there are people here, including, if I am not mistaken, Marco Rubio's own father, who came over here and requested asylum. That still doesn't mean that we still need immigration. That was only... This is just too dumb to comment on. No, it's not another lie. The United States literally does exist because of immigration. And no, it does not exist because people paid for land in order to make a living. I mean, nothing you said is true. Don't say this is another lie and then just lie. Like, that is just, there is zero reality to what you are saying. That is just the dumbest argument in the history of dumb arguments. And there have been a lot of dumb arguments, but that one is like bottom 5 in the dumb charts. I love how Texas doesn't teach high school students that take psychology classes learn about development because it means that trans people are legitimate. Trump does suck. Or, The Daily Show. Nobody ever talks about TDS, meaning The Daily Show. When the whites immigrated, they didn't get... wow. That's not racist or true. I mean, we literally gave white people free bleep. We gave them free land. Like, if you for a whole period of time when we were building the railroads, if you went out and you claimed a stake, I mean, where do you think stake your claim? Where do you think that expression comes from? It comes from giving white people free bleep. Rest in peace, Renee Good. I don't know what is going on with the Poland argument. White liberal females that shave their heads is a perfect sign to stay away from. Dude, I don't think you have to worry about women warning you to stay away from them. I think they stay away from you just fine. They're the ones, and it's, you're the guy, you're the guy that walks into a bar and all the women's hands instinctively go over their drinks. Then the people started noticing that they can. Okay, yeah, we got more history lessons from a guy that has never read a book. Yes, because all immigration stopped in 1776. There is no logic from they, and it's like, this is why I tried to, like at the beginning, if you weren't here, I started off just pointing out that that's why, like, did you really vote for this? Is this really what you actually voted for? Because so many of the things when she is saying now and doing now are actually not the things he ran on. Like, when he ran, it was only the worst of the worst. And I'll mention this again, since probably a lot of the people on right now weren't here when I said it. There is an actual worst of the worst list. And what happens is when people go to prison, like, you'll have illegal immigrants come over here that are actually the worst of the worst. That are actually the murderers and the rapists and the thieves and the drug dealers. And they got sent to prison. And then once their prison sentence is over, then they notify ICE, the local prison. And this is across all states. It's not just Minnesota, and it's not just, the sanctuary cities. It happens everywhere, in every state, because states don't have the ability or the right to deport people. So what they do is, when these felons that have done their time, they have to be released because they've done their time. And so they notify ICE and they say, this is an illegal felon that is being released. Come pick them up and deport them. And then what happens is ICE does not come and pick them up to deport them. All right. So now there are, believe it or not, and this is actually a thing I think that needs to be taken care of. There are about 1.5 million people that are here illegally that were released after they finished their felon or after their prison sentence, that are just waltzing about the cities of the United States. And it's not a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Trump thing or a Biden thing or an Obama thing or a Bush thing or a Clinton thing. It's been going on for over 30 years. That ICE just has not had the manpower, or before them, the immigration services or whatever. We haven't had the manpower to come and pick them up and deport them. So now there's all of this massive funding going into ICE. And they're still not doing that. Instead, they're just going out and they're shooting random women on the street. Why not you? Of the over 2,500 people who have been arrested in Minnesota, 212 of them are actually among these worst of the worst people. And these worst of the worst people, there's far more of them in Texas. And Texas isn't deporting them either, because Texas can't. And you can't legally detain them because they've already served their sentence. So it's not a red state or blue state thing. It's a Constitution thing. So why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we talking about arresting and detaining and deporting the worst of the worst, the ones that Donald Trump promised to do? Why aren't you asking the question why he's not doing that? If that's what you voted for and it's not what he is doing, why aren't you asking questions about that? Why are you asking questions instead about why the family of the American family's baby, why are you asking why they had the audacity to get their baby in the space of the ICE agents' tear gas? Anyway, I just realized it's almost 4:30 and somebody has a football game to watch. Oh, the game's already started. Oh my goodness. It's already halfway over. All right. So that explains why a whole bunch of people left. Anyway, I am going to go watch football now. I got my 2 cents in and a few more cents. Got insulted a couple of thousand times. So anyway, I'll be back on Monday, hopefully. I hope you guys have an enjoyable rest of your weekend. I will talk to you on Monday. Bye. Crap, I did.
Your Paramount Plus subscription. It all goes down next Saturday, only on Paramount Plus.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Men's Healthcare, designed for you and delivered to your door. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. And by FanDuel, play your game. Frank Crump, undrafted free agent, tried the Broncos a year ago, playing in his first playoff game, scores a touchdown right out of Laramie High School, about 130 miles from here. Here's the return by Davis. And he's across the 30 to the 33. We have a flag on that return.
Jefferson crew trying to sort this out.
Turn the return, illegal block in the back, number 74. Return team, 10-yard penalty. First down.
Alma Vandermark. And that will back up the Bills to near the 20. Probably next Saturday for the first time ever. UFC's biggest night is live on Paramount Plus as Justin Gaethje and Patty Pimblett headline a star-studded card. Stream every fight free with your Paramount Plus subscription. Got a new center in for the Bills. Remember, we saw McGovern go into 10th. It's Alec Anderson. On first down, they're going up top. And they're going way down the field, and it's just out of reach for the flying Brandon Cooks. Now let's go down to Trace.
Jen, you mentioned Alec Anderson in at center for Connor McGovern. We saw him get up slow after that James Cook fumble. He is currently in the locker room being evaluated for a concussion.
Yeah, that is big, too, because if you bring in Anderson, which they're doing at center, he's playing a lot of snaps, but he's usually getting extra tackle. And they wanted to do that today and go big. That's going to hurt him a little bit for some of the packages. You got all kinds of things, too, like how efficient will he be on the shotgun? Your crowd noise contending with. Exact snap counts. Great point. 7 and 10. They go back to Cook. It's near the first. He's about a half-yard shy. Anderson was running down the field with him, throwing some blocks. In a 9.
His ability to jump cut is next level. Anderson does a great job. Watch his block here. And after that, you'll see Cook with a shift bounce, shift boom. His contact balance is great. Great vision. Impressive.
Hey Google, turn off the yellow lights and white lights. Hey Google, turn off the white light.
And he does administer that push, and Goodwin has the first down. That was good. Josh, a little jolt.
It did, and you notice we saw this last year. They always go left, right? We thought maybe we'd see a little more right this year, but they still. This is the adjustment Josh has made. He went a gap out wider this time because they're shooting into that A gap right by the center and guard, so he gets up by the tackle tight end.
Josh Allen now with 3 conversions on the third one, fourth one. Here they're taking every chances of the shorts. There's Cook lowering his head, and he's got number 5 on first down.
Concerning your Denver because Buffalo is using that size and they're getting that displacement and movement up front right now. And Vance Noy's going to have to allocate another guy down there.
Vance Joseph telling us, talking about Buffalo, they do a great job staying on schedule.